So, welcome everyone. Before we start, let's take a moment of silence to invoke Mother's and Aurobindo presence. I think we are here. The subconscious aspects of health and disease. And we were discussing last time that how anything that becomes a pattern, which is because of repetition, because we are doing it again and again, it becomes the subconscious, like it becomes mechanical. Now we don't need to pay attention to it because it has become our habit, so it will just go on. And whenever we become then conscious of these subconscious patterns, then we have to work on it through affirmations or anything that helps to change it in our subconscious. Yeah, so we were reading this. I'll just take an overlap because I thought maybe this is very important. So I'll just go through it. Maybe this is all that we did last time, and then we can take a new passage for today. Yeah, so in our yoga, Sri Aurobindo says, we mean by the subconscient that quiet, submerged part of our being in which there is no wakingly conscious and coherent thought, will, or feeling, or organized reaction, but which yet receives obscurely the impressions of all things and stores them up in itself, and from it too all sorts of stimuli of persistent habitual movements, crudely repeated or disguised in strange forms, can surge up into dream or into the waking nature. It is the subconscious largely responsible for our illnesses. Chronic or repeated illnesses are indeed mainly due to the subconscious and its obstinate memory and habit of repetition of whatever has impressed itself upon the body consciousness. But this subconscious must be clearly distinguished from the subliminal parts of our being, such as the inner or subtle physical consciousness, the inner vital or inner mental. For these are not at all obscure or incoherent or ill organized, but only veiled from our surface consciousness. Our surface constantly receives something, inner touches, communications, or influences from these sources, but does not know for the most part whence they come. The subconscious influences the body because all in the body has developed out of the subconscious. So last time we had discussed upon this. So today I'm just going to read it, not really going deeper. And all in itself still is only half conscious, and much of its action can be called subconscious. It is therefore much more easily influenced by the subconscious. The body is much more easily influenced by the subconscious than by the conscious mind and conscious will, or even the vital mind and vital will, except in those things in which a conscious mental or vital control has been established and the subconscious itself has accepted it. If it were not so, man's control of his actions and physical states would be complete. There would be no illness, or if there were, it would be immediately cured by mental action. But it is not so. For that reason, the higher consciousness has to be brought down, the body and the subconscient enlightened by it and accustomed to obey its control. Yeah, so this is something which we can constantly keep working on if we are interested. The moment I notice a negative pattern which has gone down deep in myself, the way I look at life, the way I look at myself, relationships, workplace, the way I look at things, and in those things I believe very rigidly, solidly, like what I think is true, and those patterns have become now harmful. They are not really helping me. So I have to become conscious of it, and instead of them I have to cultivate beneficial thoughts and patterns. So today we can go further and, yeah, take this bigger one. Yeah, anyone would like to read the new one for today?
Sweet mother, is the subconscious stronger than the mind, vital and physical? The mother, it has more effect precisely because it is subconscious, it is everywhere. Everything is as if steeped in the subconscious. And then subconscious means half conscious, not conscious and not unconscious. It is just between the two. It is like this, halfway. So things slide down into it. One doesn't know they are there, and from there they act. And it is because one doesn't know they are there that they can remain there. There are many things one doesn't want to keep and drives out from the active consciousness, but they go down there, hide there. And because it is subconscious, one doesn't notice them. But they have not gone completely, and when they have a chance to come up again, they come up. For example, there are bad habits of the body in the sense that the body is in the habit of getting out of balance. It is called falling ill. But in any case, the functioning becomes faulty due to a bad habit. By concentrating the force and directing it on this defect, you manage to make it disappear. But it doesn't disappear completely. It enters the subconscious. And then, when you are off your guard, when you stop paying close attention to prevent it from manifesting, it rises again and comes out. You thought, perhaps for months or even years, that you were completely rid of a certain kind of illness you suffered from, and you paid no more attention. Then suddenly one day it returns as though it had never gone. It springs up again from the subconscious. And unless you enter into the subconscious and change things there, that is, unless you change the subconscious into the conscious, it always happens like that. The method is to change the subconscious into the conscious. If each thing that rises to the surface becomes conscious, at that moment it must be changed. There is still more direct method. It is to enter the subconscious with one's full consciousness and work there. But that is difficult. Yet so long as this is not done, all the progress one has made, I mean physically, in one's body, can always be undone.
Yeah, thank you so much. So this is beautiful, beautiful paragraph because it really hits at the root of our recurrent, specifically recurrent illnesses, things that stay with us. And not only illnesses, I think our emotional way of behaving, the way that we emotionally react to situations and think about certain things in life. That is also, most of it is just like happening by default, and we are not even aware why we are acting that way, why we are behaving that way again and again. So really, it's like both the paragraphs, the earlier one and this one, very, very important. And also important because we can work on this. We can, by affirming and becoming conscious of whatever is going on in my head, the moment, as mother says, the moment it rises up in the consciousness, then is the time to work on it. So, not to push it aside again. And mostly we are unconscious, so even when they are rising, we may not be aware. But as we grow more and more, want to be conscious, if there is a will there to be more and more conscious of what am I thinking right now. Why do I think like this every time this or that happens? These kind of, they're very deep rooted patterns which require our attention. Yeah, so the good thing is that we can work upon this. Hmm. That is where it is very empowering. Yeah, so the question is the subconscious stronger than the mind, vital and physical? And the mother says it has more effect. Just because we don't have any control over that. It's beyond our waking consciousness. I am half conscious, half not conscious. And these patterns are ruling me, and I think I have a free life. Actually, I am a slave of these patterns that are ruling me, of which I am not conscious. Therefore, whatever I am not conscious of, it will keep on having its effect on me, and I will not be aware. That is the problem. But the moment we become conscious, imagine that we have a house and maybe suddenly I begin to have, some sneezing, and somebody uh, sees kind of a mold growing, or, some fungus growing in the house. And the moment we become aware of that fungus growing, then we can work on it. We can clean the space, or we can shift houses, whatever is required. But as long as we are not aware of the root of the issue, then we are just ruled by it. So I can just continue to sneeze, and take all the medications that are, helping me with the sneeze, and yet the sneeze will not stop because the root of the sneeze is still there, uh, around me. And of course, not only the fungus may be the root, my immune system is also the root. So again, that also has to be addressed. But if only the in this example, if we consider the outer cause that has to be removed, then if I don't become of that, aware of that cause, then I can eat many good things which are making me healthy, but it would not just like disappear like that, because I'm not aware of this constant stimulus that is making me weak. Yeah, so subconscient means half conscious, not conscious, and not unconscious. So not fully conscious and not fully unconscious. It is just between the two. It is like this, halfway. So things slide down into it. Hmm. One does not know they are there, and from there they act. So it's very interesting that how they kind of the things go down into, uh, we become half conscious, half unconscious of these things, but they are acting from there. Their influence they are exerting from there. But because I am fully not conscious, they keep on overpowering me. I don't have any kingship over them, or the rule is not there, mastery is not there. So things slide down into it. One does not know they are there, and from there they act. And it is because one does not know they are there that they can remain there. So this is also very beautiful. So the garbage is there, but I'm not aware of the garbage, and the smell keeps coming, and the all the diseases keeps happening, but the garbage exists because I don't know where it is. Hmm? So because I am not aware of the exact place, or even know that they exist, because of my unconscious way of living, unmindful way of living, that is why they can continue forever. So this also gives us the remedy. The moment I become mindful of my inner space, the more I get in touch with my inner being, the thoughts I am harboring, the feeling that go though again and again in me, the kind of sense perceptions I am having, the interpretation about the sensory input that I am having. So the more conscious I become of this inner palace, then they have a lesser chance of hiding here and there, because now the person who owns the home is here in the house. Yeah, anything here? Anyone? I'm taking a pause here.
Yes, very. I see many times talking with people who has some knowledge of psych.
Yeah, you and your connection, I think, is not stable.
To mix
Yeah.
these
Can
things
you
like
can you please come
empathy.
again? Can you please come again? Your connection was not stable. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it's not good. The, the Jungian psychology and many things rooted in the work of Jung to make everything like this, everything that is not conscious, mixed up, like all of the intuitive things we can have and all the superior knowledge is mixed up with the unconscious.
Yeah, are you there? I stopped your video just in case if it helps with your audio.
Hi, no,
Yeah.
I think my connection is unstable. Maybe I
Yeah.
can talk later.
Yeah. 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 So what I heard so far, you were sharing that in Jungian terms, we just see it as a mixed up thing. So subconscious, subliminal is all like clubbed up together. And here we have a distinction. This is what you were sharing?
Yes, and it's a very common mistake
Hmm.
in many psychological approach, like mixed up everything that is superior with the inferior subconscious thing, and it's very important to
True, true.
understand.
Very true, very true. I think Sri Aurobindo makes it very clear that often even subliminal goes in the category of subconscious, but it is not so. Because subliminal is that higher part in us, the true part in us, which is hiding, veiled, but it is acting from behind the veil. And that is what is responsible for giving us, good impulsions, like impulsions of compassion, kindness, generosity, wisdom. So all these are coming from our subliminal impressions, like it presses upon us to act in that way. And subconscious is all those patterns which have gone deep down in us, and as if we are blinded by those patterns, yet run by those patterns. So most chronic illnesses which take a long time to go away and like become friends with us, because we are not able to be fully conscious, it requires a lot of will and effort to become conscious of each thought that I am having, each feeling that I am having, to scrutinize why I am thinking that way. What do I need? Why do I need to behave in that way? So when we scrutinize and look at all these elements, then it is a chance, and also not only look, but cultivate positive patterns there. Cultivate higher lofty patterns, turning all the thoughts and feelings towards goodness and good heart and divine, light, wisdom, clarity. So when these reversals kind of happen, then there is a possibility that a complete reversal of a disease can also happen. And we do have examples, it's not that we don't. Yeah. And that is why people have talked about affirmations, because affirmations are working on the subconscious level, they are working on the pattern level, habit level. हमें आदत हो जाती है, we become used to a certain way of thinking, that oh, that person behaves that way because he thinks of me like that and that, so that is my what I am believing in. But I don't even realize that over years it becomes a pattern with me. So now I'm not only thinking about that person in that way, but I'm thinking about most of the world in that way. Like life is cruel to me, and people who are not really friendly to me are thinking about me this. So all this goes on in the mind, half conscious, half not conscious, becomes a pattern. And after years, then of course, if I'm not listening to all the knocks on the door, it develops into a full-fledged physical manifestation. So God is really kind. you know we get ears, and we have signals in between, but we ignore those signals, or we can say we are ignorant to those signals, because we are so lost in our thoughts. We are not mindful of what I am thinking. So I think mindfulness really helps here, that when I become mindful, then I can look at what am I thinking and feeling and perceiving. Do I still need to do that? Is it helping me? Is it benefiting me? And if not, then getting empowered to change it. Yeah, so that's why, when we keep writing and keep affirming good things, then we work on our negative patterns. So this was the first half. Anything more here, anyone?
Yeah, one thing that you shared, it's not just about the physical chronic issues, right? Those are very loud, and when we hear of health, it's always mostly, okay, this disease and that disease. But in my everyday, the things like you were just talking about that you're holding on to, or who things when they suddenly spring up, like if you have been reacting to something like in a particular way for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and again you are reacting that way and you're not happy with it. Like after that, you feel horrible, or you feel, you just spoiled it for, say, everybody. And so, I mean, that is illness too. And to recognize that, that's why I think when they talk about courage, in general, there was this quote from, I don't know, Mother or Aurobindo, where they say that courage and faith are the two most essential qualities. And if these two are there, they have the capacity to carry us through, and the rest will follow and stuff. Because again, I have to stand against my own tendencies. So just, I really like when you said that it's not just about physical, because we see that, but we don't recognize it. Like we basically start giving justifications and start to say that, yes, this is how it is, this is how it is, and I've been doing it for so long, and the other, or the life, everything is wrong or against us, but I am right. So that is nothing less than illness. Because there are so many times, I would say, that if we are even a little bit conscious, we would see things come up that you are like, ye kahan se aa gaya, right? Where did this come from? And then to catch it, to catch it, to catch it. So it was, yeah. And I remember something funny when I was in school and we came to know about this thing that how, if the other person is thinking something, it keeps affirming in you, right? Like, so we were a group of three, four girlfriends, and one of us, just got up and they were like, it's your fault that I'm lazy. You keep thinking I won't turn up on time, and it's because of you that I'm not turning. And she really meant it. Like, he really bashed us up that stop thinking of me in that way. So that was my first time that, oh, that's also a possibility. But yeah, it was interesting that how it works, how I keep affirming it, and because I'm affirming it, not realizing when I'm like complaining, shouting, crying, making excuses, that's my way of affirming it too, if I'm not putting light on it. Yeah. And even, this, I had shared this before also, I really liked it from in the psychic education booklet. There is this thing from the mother that thoughts cross one's mind, violent, bad, hateful things like that. Usually one pays no attention to it, but this is what must be caught. As soon as it manifests, you must catch it like this with a firm grip and then hold it up to the light and say, no, I don't want you. I don't want you. I have nothing to do with this. You're going to get out of here and you won't return. So this also feels like what you were just, we were reading about the subconscious. Suddenly something has come up, and before it goes down and becomes the darkness again, you can catch it and reject it so that it gets more light. Next time you're very easily also able to catch it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the story starts when I want cleanliness in my being. Because as long as these thoughts and these patterns don't appear negative to me, they feel that no, I have the right to actually think these things because I know that I am right. So as long as that game is going on, no place for cleanliness, no chance. But when even if a little bit of us is ready to have that cleanliness and to begin to look at our inner temple, is it clean? Then of course, all this is to be done. Yes. So requires lots of conviction from our side if we have had enough of our sufferings by following these dictates of negative, harmful thoughts about others and about ourselves. If I have done that enough, because before that I am not convinced. And if now I have started to develop a distaste towards the negative ones, harmful ones, then that distaste will help me to clean and to pick it up like that, like mother says. And yeah. Mostly we are just, how Kabir ji says, we are kind of wallowing in these thoughts and very happy about them actually. Yeah, anything more here? Anyone? Okay, so we can take it a little further. There are many things one doesn't want to keep and drives out from the active consciousness, but they go down there, hide there. And because it is subconscious, because we are not fully conscious of it, one doesn't notice them. But they have not gone completely. And when they have a chance to come up again, they come up. For example, there are bad habits of the body in the sense that the body is in the habit of getting out of balance. So this is very important. Those of us who have a taste of it, we all have our favorite illnesses. Little, not chronic ones, like, they come and go, but we are used to them. So there we have a chance of working with them also. because it's like just the body has become used to the fact that, oh, this, yeah, this will make me ill. I know. So we actually enjoy the fact because it has become a part of our identity, that illness that keeps on coming every time, in few months or whatever. So as long as mother also says, somewhere, that as long as any part of the being enjoys getting sick, there is no chance that I won't have that illness. So that is a bad habit of the body because of whatever childhood patterns, or at young age I wanted attention, from people around me, and because of that I can start as a child, can start as a young adult, wherever it started. But then I become used to this falling ill, and I claim that, oh, I know this, like this happens with me, and I own it, in that sense, and enjoy that illness as part of me. So as long as that bad habit has become a part of my identity, I won't let it go. I won't want to let it go, because I don't know myself without that illness. I feel delighted with it. So that's very crucial. All of us have to see in ourselves that if there is a little illness that keeps on coming back again and again, there must be some part of the being that enjoys that illness. So bad habits of the body, in the sense that body is in the habit of getting out of balance, it is called falling ill. But in any case, the functioning becomes faulty due to a bad habit. So we all have to recognize this bad habit in us wherever we get a disharmony. We have the chance to notice it. By concentrating the force and directing it on this defect. So now this is very important again, because when we see that, okay, this has happened again or is happening again, we can, as Taru was pointing at, that you pick it up with the forceps. Mother says, like, pick it out, and then you show it to light. So showing it to the mother, like we have this story of Vibhishan, how he was following that repeated tendency of eating meat which he did not want to eat, killing animals and eating meat, and yet every time he would eat, he would show it to Lord Ram. He would show it, like, see, I'm still in the grip of it, see, I'm still in the grip of it, so you help me, you help me. So every time, even if you are overpowered by it, one has to call the force and let it act. So by concentrating the force and directing it on this defect, you manage to make it disappear. But it doesn't disappear completely. It enters the subconscient. And then when you are off guard, when you stop paying close attention to prevent it from manifesting, it rises up and comes out. So Sri Aurobindo, in God's Labor, he says, that everything that we think that we have killed has to be killed again, has to be killed again, has to be killed again, because we think that we have thrown it out of our being, but when we throw it out, it goes in the subconscious, and then further it goes in the collective. So it takes a little while we are completely free of it. That is why we always say that we are a work in progress. It always takes a long time before we can truly say that now not any chance anymore. One can be wary of saying that, because always there are certain elements in me which I am not conscious of. So when we are off guard means when we are unconscious. We are relaxed and chit-chatting and not really conscious of our thoughts and feelings, and allowing all the thoughts and feelings to just come in and playing around with them, not really taking care of the inner sanctuary, is off guard. We are off guard, we are not conscious. So when we are off guard, when you stop paying close attention to prevent it from manifesting, it rises up and comes out. So it gets a chance कि अब कोई नहीं देख रहा, nobody is looking at me, and then it rises. You thought perhaps for months or even years that you were completely rid of a certain kind of illness you suffered from, and you pay it no more attention. So we become complacent again. This is what happens with us. We become very, very complacent, and we think that we are over it now. I don't need to take any precautions. Don't need to be conscious now. I am over it. No need to be conscious. I can be totally like loiter around and do whatever I like. So when we are complacent in that sense, then it has a chance to rise up again, because it is not gone fully. It is just hiding in the subconscious. Then suddenly one day it returns as though it had never gone. It springs up again from the subconscious. So subconscious has this force with it. It is a mechanical force that is acting. Like if you turn on a machine and you leave it on for many, many years, it is just running and running and running. It has got habituated to running. So it gathers a momentum. That machine will gather a momentum. So although it may be running beyond the surface, but it is still running. So that is the mechanical force, that it's continue rotating, and you are not fueling it, but it's just this mechanical momentum that is there with it. So that is what happens with regards to our patterns, whether they are thought patterns, feeling patterns, patterns of the body. That is what happens. We don't need to give them fuel. They are just running once we have entertained them for a long time. Yeah, so Yuan is sharing. This is very important because it can be very discouraging to watch coming again something we thought it was over. So it is good to understand how it works. Yes, absolutely. So we don't get frustrated then, because now we have read it. We know that it will come again and again, and we will be dealing it with again, and even more with will and power and force, and affirming. Every time it comes, I will affirm. So we were reading in the other session that every time it is a climb uphill that we have to make. Anything that pulls us down, we have to make that right choice and make that uphill climb. That is what an Aryan is. And unless you enter into this subconscious and change things there, that is, unless you change the subconscious into the conscious, it always happens like that. So I think this is also very, very beautiful. So as if you are entering a dungeon, you are entering a dungeon and it's very dark, and it's only dark unless and until the point that there is no light in there. But when I install a light in the dungeon, then it can't be called a dungeon anymore. It is full of light, it is full of air. So only when I am not ready to look at the things that I have kept in that basement, so long that can remain in darkness, and that is only because I don't want to yet take the responsibility of showing light to it. I don't want to look at it. But the moment I want to look at it, it is my light of consciousness that I bring there. This is the light that we have to bring. So by bringing that light of consciousness, that let me look what I am thinking, let me look how I am behaving, how I am feeling, why I am feeling this way. Do I want to change it? So the moment I bring this light of consciousness, it acts like a powerful game changer. Then it is not basement anymore, dark basement, but it turns into something bright and airy. The windows are open, the lights are installed at proper places. All the stuff is sorted and cleaned, and what I had to give away, I give away. So it becomes a very clean, sorted, organized place. So this is totally up to us, changing the subconscious into the conscious. It is my light of consciousness that is with me. It is not going to come from anywhere else. So we have to take that responsibility. So the method is to change the subconscious into the conscious. So not only mother is talking about the problem, but she's also always giving us the remedy. No? So unless you change the subconscious into the conscious, it always happens like that. The method is to change the subconscious into the conscious, become more mindful, mindful of thoughts, mindful of feelings, mindful of how I am sleeping, mindful of how I am walking. So this, if this watching, continuous watching is there, if we cultivate that, then slowly, 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 all the things that are so far in darkness, they will come to light and I'll be able to empower myself. If each thing that rises to the surface becomes conscious, again, very important. So there is my chance. When it is rising to the subconscious, there is my chance. Because when it goes back again, I would think that I am over it, but it is hiding, right? Many a times we think that anger, no, anger I have left many years ago, but a moment comes and it rises back again. Or anything that we think or we claim that I am over it. So if each thing that rises to the surface becomes conscious, at that moment it must be changed. That is our chance, that is our window of transforming it. And for that we will have to be mindful, we have to be conscious what is rising up in my being. We have to be watchful. We are talking of that witnessing aspect in conversations with Sri Aurobindo. So that witnessing aspect is also the key here. And then Mother talks about this direct method. There is still more direct method. It is to enter the subconscious with one's full consciousness and work there. This Mother has done. Mother talks about it in prayers and meditations also, and in agenda and other places. But that is difficult. Yet, so long as this is not done, all the progress that one has made, mean physically in one's body, can always be undone. So not only eating a healthy diet, which is also important, but also working on becoming more and more and more conscious, always more conscious of what we are thinking, why we are thinking, and turning our thoughts and feelings into, like Mother says, turn your thoughts and feelings to the divine, because that is our refuge. Whenever we have loopy thoughts, negative thoughts, random thoughts, thinking of the Mother, thinking of Sri Aurobindo, thinking of the divine in any form, thinking of life divine, synthesis of yoga, Savitri, reading some good lines from Savitri. So turning all the thoughts and feelings towards something higher and lofty, not wanting to believe in those limiting patterns anymore. Yeah, lot of work, really lot of work required. Only if we want to get at it. Yeah. Yeah, anything on this, anyone? So if not, then maybe we can end here. I don't want to start with the new one today. I think this is enough work for a lifetime actually. But maybe we start the next passage in the next session. And in during this week, we can just remind ourselves what we have read today and to be more conscious. And if certain kind of ill feelings, ill thoughts are coming up, rising up, to recognize them as ill, to be able to have that discernment to see them as ill when they are ill, and to be able to choose to transmute them, because that is my chance. The moment I see it, that is my chance that I can transmute it. So catching it and reversing it for myself. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay, Johan. I wish that you could have participated more, but yeah, what can we do? Thank you. Okay. Yes, Abhipsa? Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. I just thought
Okay.
everyone was sleeping.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
Okay. So maybe before we end, yeah, Sharda ji. Yes.
Oh, it was very, very useful tip. As you rightly said, we have to follow it at least for this week. If we try following, then we'll be able to know how far we'll be able to do that. At least we can start practicing. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. There, I'm reminded of this small little booklet I had shared once with all of you. It's called Scientific Healing Affirmations.
Okay.
It's by this Yogoda Satsang Society, Shri Paramhans Yogananda. So and I don't know if I had shared, I don't think I had shared a PDF, but this book is all about what we are reading just now, and they talk about why affirmations work, and then they talk about that since we have this power of curing ourselves, why not use it for good purpose? Say, for example, he says with regard to chronic diseases, he says, while attempting healing, one often concentrates more on the gripping power of the disease than on the possibility of cure. So जब भी हमें कोई प्रॉब्लम होती है, हमारी सारी अटेंशन वो होती है कि हाय ये क्या हो गया, अरे ये कब जाएगा, so सारा अटेंशन उसकी गंदी चीजों पे है, on the bad thing about the disease. So he says, while attempting healing, one often concentrates more on the gripping power of the disease than on the possibility of cure, thus permitting the illness to be a mental as well as a physical habit. We were talking of habit here. This is especially true in case of nervousness. Each thought of depression or happiness, irritability or calmness cuts subtle grooves in the brain cells and strengthens the tendencies towards sickness or well-being. So this is how important, this line that he says, the moment I have a bad thought, I am actually cutting as if, a groove. I'm cutting in my brain cells, I'm making a pattern. We think there's harmless thoughts actually. We think that, oh, इंसान ही तो हैं, we are human beings. We are used to these kind of thoughts. But what happens is that by becoming used to these kind of negative, harmful thoughts, which don't appear negative in the beginning, we are actually making grooves. Like आप एक blade लेके, you take a blade and you cut grooves in your brain, like that. And then it becomes a pattern. Once a groove is set, then it becomes a pattern. So there have been studies lately, and their studies have been going on for a long time. Studies on compassion, for example, that when we cultivate compassion, like how we are trying here to remove our bad habits of thinking and feeling in a wrong way and making it into a good one. So they have done, there have been researchers, some of them I am aware of because when I was doing my PhD, I used to know these professors who are doing social neuroscience. So they say that when we cultivate these habits of compassion consciously.
Sorry, Monica, compassion with anybody?
Yeah, compassion with anybody.
Okay. Other people.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Or yourself, loving kindness towards yourself and other people, it all goes hand in hand. So they would say that when we actually focus, because usually we are not conscious. हमको लगता है what whoever is a bad person is a bad person. Now I don't care. That's it. That's my job. But when we become conscious of these thoughts and patterns, and when we begin to transmute them, there have been now studies, proper brain EEG and MRI studies, where they say that we develop those areas which are for compassion and kindness, and those areas in the brain they see expanding. तो वो जो पहले इतना सा एरिया था ब्रेन में, एक छोटा सा पॉइंट दिखता था कंपैशन का, अब वो करते करते 9 weeks में it just kind of enlarges that area of compassion and empathy. Why they are doing this research? Because they say that this is also very important when we are trying to resolve conflicts amongst nations, because there we don't understand how the other nation is feeling. What I understand is no, you crossed my boundary, I have to throw a bomb at you. That is how we think, no? So they say that this is like they use many techniques. One of them is perspective taking, that you take perspective from the other person and you try to understand that perspective, that wo kya keh raha hai. Usually we are just used to my perspective, I know I am right, that's it. And that becomes an ego clash, first within a family and then amongst nations, and then we have wars. So they have done proper studies that if we cultivate a discipline for ourselves, where we become more conscious and cultivate loving kindness, compassion, become conscious of our thoughts and feelings, it actually leads to enlarging those areas in the brain which actually were not there earlier. And this is happening at age 40 to 55. छोटे बच्चे नहीं चूज किए, because usually we say that when we are little, only then the brain is developed or has plasticity. But they have done this research on people age 40 to 55, which is a young, old enough age. We think that we are now fixed, we can't change. So they have done research that in adulthood also, if we cultivate these good patterns, then we can change, and this is how we can change the world, by changing ourselves. So this
So I just sorry to interrupt, Monica. See, a week before last, I tried, let me take on exercise of not complaining about my mate.
hard exercise, challenging.
Yeah, very it was very difficult, but still I thought, I should do it. Whatever she does, it's okay. If she is not doing properly, then let me do it, but let me not have any complaint or grudge about her. But first day it was very difficult for me, because whatever she did, I always, we think we are superior, I will do it better. But from the second day, third day, actually I was not complaining much. So like that only, see, that is how they behave, that's what they know. That is also another compassion.
I think there is a fine line between not acting and not complaining. Very fine line. So what we do usually, the space by default we enter into, that if I have to tell a person that can we do it in a different way, I can't take it objectively, that why can't I just tell or share that can we do it this way? Because it's not that things don't have to get better, things can be better. The thing is that usually I enter into a mode of that this person is always a bad person and not really doing right things. So that image need not be there. We are all progressing, you are progressing, the maid is progressing, we are all progressing. And if we share about these errors or mistakes or wherever we can do better, then we all can do better. So it doesn't mean that I become passive. If I stop complaining, doesn't mean that I don't tell or share, or she doesn't tell me or share with me. It doesn't mean stopping of communication, because then you can be sure that all the time the work will go round, because we are usually unconscious. If she, for example, if she cleans in a certain manner and she is unaware of rest of the things is not cleaning, and if you don't bring it to her notice, she would be ever blinded with regarding that. So it doesn't mean that we don't share with each other. It just means that it is now very objective. I see, I share, that's it. It doesn't mean anything that she's a bad person, she doesn't clean nicely. So all these things need not be there. The images that I have about that person, they don't need to be there. But perfection in work, of course, otherwise how can we have perfection in work if we don't share with each other? Because I am blinded. So if you don't tell me how I work.
No, the thing is, perfection, what I feel is perfect, need not be the perfection of her. No, that
I
is what
agree, but if you are cleaning a space, if you are cleaning a place and you leave the spider webs on the wall dirty, like that, then you can't really argue that, oh, that is your idea of perfection, but this is my idea. No,
that is yeah.
cleanliness
true.
is cleanliness,
Yeah.
So again, there can be lots of arguments here and there, but the thing is that we can always share.
Yeah.
We usually don't share in a compassionate, kind way.
That is what,
Yeah.
we complain.
We complain what you were
We
sharing
want to
earlier.
boss. Yeah.
Exactly. So that bossiness need not be there.
Yeah.
It's like we both are on a same ground and we are sharing.
Yeah.
So that same ground needs to be there. And when I know that, oh my God, so many weaknesses are there lying in me, which I'm working on, and it takes a lot of time, then I can be compassionate to the other person that for her also, things are taking time. For everybody, things take time. So what is the big deal? But that would not mean a passivity. Because if we stop at that oh, everybody has their own ideas of perfection, who will take a stand that the whole of Haryana is piled up with garbage everywhere? Who will take a stand? Nobody. That, oh, this is government's idea of perfection, my idea of perfection may be different, but what do I do? We can't stop like that. We have to act. So usually with this consciousness that we develop, we have a intelligence that also develops with the consciousness. That intelligence guides us. It's not a dumb consciousness, it is an intelligent consciousness. So if we truly are conscious, we will be able to put the things in a right way and not in a rude manner or a bossy manner, like truly objectively, meaning that let's clean it little further, like that. We can do that. We must, because the other person also learns in that process. So now you can change your stance next week.
Yeah.
Kidding. Yeah, you would know the best, so you have to trust your own intelligence.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, any last things, anyone? Poor Yuan left because maybe we were talking of maids and cleaning. He has no idea of maids living in Spain or wherever he is. Anyway, so let's take a moment of silence and share and dedicate all the merit, all the goodness. May all the beings near and far, small and big, may all of us be truly well, truly happy, and may we get the courage to become more and more conscious of our own self so that all the basements can be full of light. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone.